Hello, good evening everyone. In today's podcast, we will explore the duties of directors in a company. Have you ever wondered what directors in a company do? As kids, we would watch movies featuring old white men sitting around an oblong table, shooting off their approvals for decisions numbering in the millions, and then they would walk away to enjoy their dinner. This is all good and fine if the company is doing well, but what if the company is struggling to stay afloat and the directors get a new Rolls Royce? So, if you are an investor or a shareholder with a company that goes belly up, or if you realize that your company suffered incredible losses in the past year, and you think that this is caused by the directors of the company mucking about, you might actually wonder if these directors can be sued. Malaysia recently overhauled the laws that governs companies in Malaysia with the new Company Act 2016, and you would be very pleased to learn that you can actually sue directors for breaching their director duties. Let me give you a brief overview of what duties directors have. By the way, it doesn't matter if they are directors of a $2 company or a multinational company, they still have directors' duties to fulfill. The Company Act 2016 actually sets out a list of duties that directors of companies in Malaysia would have to adhere to. However, in order to keep today's podcast short, we shall focus on 3 common duties. First of all, the directors must act for the company. The first duties can be found in Section 213(1), which sets out the duty for directors to act within the powers that have been given to him. To put it in context, there are 2 ways a director can gain his power from in Malaysia. The first would be through the Company Act 2016, and the other way would be through the company's constitution. Section 213(1) Company Act 2016 states that a director of a company shall at all times exercise his powers in accordance with this act for a proper purpose and in good faith in the best interest of the company. For example, if the CA 2016 states that the directors are allowed to allot company shares subject to them gaining approval through a company resolution first. This means that if a director were to allot shares without a resolution authorizing it, they will be acting beyond their powers and could be guilty of a breach of director duties. If you are clear on what the Act says and are scratching your head over the constitution part because you thought that only countries have constitutions, do not fret because an explanation is right here. The first thing you need to know is what a company's constitution works, more or less in the same way as a country's constitution. It sets out the basic rules that the company has, and as explained in Section 33 of the CA 2016, the constitution also binds every member in the company. This means that not only is the constitution enforceable by the members against the directors, it's also enforceable between members of the company. Section 31(2) CA 2016 also explains to us how a constitution works hand in hand with the relevant Malaysian laws. In essence, if the CA 2016 allows some discretion for the companies to set their own rules, they can do so. It's important to note that under the CA 2016, it is not mandatory for every company to have a constitution. It is optional. Section 31(2) CA 2016 states that if a company has a constitution, the company, each directors and each member shall have the rights, powers, duties and obligations set out in this Act, except to the extent that such rights, powers, duties and obligations are permitted to be modified in accordance with this Act, and are so modified by the constitution of the company. Aside from not exceeding the limits of their powers, directors are also supposed to exercise their powers in a way that they were intended to be exercised. For example, If a director has the power to allot shares, he can allot them in a way that would benefit the company as opposed to allotting them in a way that would make themselves richer. So these are the first duties that the director should fulfill. Now we move on to the second duties, where the directors cannot do crazy things. The second duty is found in section 213(2) and it states that a director of the company shall exercise reasonable care, skill, and diligence with the knowledge, skill, and experience which may reasonably be expected of a director having the same responsibilities, and any additional knowledge, skill, and experience which the director in fact has. This duty to exercise reasonable care, skill, and diligence may sound rather vague, but the court would judge this using the objective and subjective test. The objective test is found in Part A of Section 213(2), wherein the judge will look at whether the director has acted in a way that other directors with the same skill and responsibilities would have acted. This means that the judge will look at how the general population of directors would have acted. For example, if you are a director and you make the decision to sell your company for 10,000 ringgit, while every other director out there would have sold it for a minimum of 50,000 ringgit, you will probably be guilty of failing to exercise reasonable care and skill. You definitely don't want your directors to tell you your money is gone. However, Section 213(2) also involves a subjective test. A subjective test is where instead of the judge looking at the knowledge and skill that the general population of directors would have, the judge will look specifically at any additional knowledge and skill that you have. This means that if you had any special knowledge that will give you greater skills than a normal director would, you will be judged with those standards in mind as well. For example, if you were a director of a company and you had a degree in accounting, the court would look at that degree and would more likely than not finding you guilty of failure to exercise reasonable care and skill. When you decided to sell off your company for just 10,000 ringgit, the objective and subjective test found in Section 213(2) means that the judge is required to consider the objective knowledge of directors as well as the knowledge of the director in question. The third duties the director should fulfill is the director cannot have sneaky under-table dealings. This duty is meant to ensure that directors do not abuse their position as directors in order to gain personal benefit. An example for a situation like this would be if the director of company A influences his company to enter into a contract with company B because he owns shares in company B and will stand to gain a lot of money if the deal goes through. The CA 2016 aims to prevent situations like this by requiring directors to declare any interest they may have in the proposed transaction. Section 221(1) says, subject to this section, every director of a company who is in any way, whether directly or indirectly, interested in a contract or a proposed contract with a company shall, as soon as practicable after the relevant facts has come to the director's knowledge, declare the nature of his interest at the meeting of the board of directors. This means that it would potentially be a breach of director's duty if he were to sneakily try to steal the company into being part of a deal that benefits him and not the company. To our audience, you might realize that this duty would potentially overlap with the first duty where the act states that directors have to act in the best interest of the company. Such an observation is accurate as the section that governs directors' duty can overlap, and it essentially means that all those old-timey images we have of directors enjoying life and expensive lunches do not stand anymore. Directors are not allowed to take a hands-off approach in running the company. This is illustrated in the UK case of Lexi Holdings and Lookman, where the court states that the directors must keep themselves informed of what is going on in the company and participate in the management. So, as a summary for today's podcast, I hereby again repeat the 3 common duties of directors that he or she should fulfill in a company. First, the director must act for the company, and they cannot go beyond the powers unless it's stated in the company constitution. Second, the directors cannot do crazy things, whereby the court should judge them in objective and subjective tests. Third, the director cannot have sneaky under-table dealings, so he cannot take the personal benefit through the company. So that's all for today's podcast, and I hope you will have acquired some knowledge about the duties of a director in the company. Thank you very much.